Good morning, everyone. I recently wrote a piece for Substack about debt and how not having any debt, deciding to opt into a debt-free lifestyle was the best decision I've ever made in terms of creative living. And it really, really helped a lot of people. And over the summer, I completely overhauled my finances. And I will start this vlog, by the way, by being very, very clear that I am not a financial advisor, but I am passionate about money as a topic, and I think it's something that we need to talk about more. And I think it's something that isn't talked about enough in terms of the creative space in particular. So, a big goal of mine this year was to come up with a new budget for my new single life, also living abroad as a self-employed creative, and get really good with money again, because it's something that I have been avoidant with since my life changed so much, and I really wanted to feel like I had a handle of it. And over the summer I did just that. I gave up Instagram, I gave up any kind of dating, and I really focused on my finances, and I made some massive changes, and I feel so much better for them. So I wanted to make a vlog where I share what I learned. I read the most incredible book. It's called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. I will share a link to it for you. And basically applied that to my entire life. So the first big thing that I actually did years ago, and I do cover this in the piece that I wrote, which I'll leave a link to if you do want to go and read it. I committed to debt-free living years and years and years ago. Aside from my mortgage at the time, I repaid I think I had about £30,000 worth of debt at that time, and it took a while, but yeah, I did. I completely repaid it and made a commitment that I didn't want to live life in any kind of debt. I have this thing where, for me, freedom is real wealth. So at that point, I made a commitment that if I couldn't afford something, I wasn't going to have it. And as a self-employed creative, I personally find that the quickest way to kill my motivation, my creativity, is to place financial pressure on it. So the book, one of the key takeaways from that book that I read was to avoid debt and to focus on repaying that first, which I had already done, but it is one of the biggest things the biggest life-changing things that I have ever done in terms of money, and I would recommend to anyone. The exact process that I used is featured in the piece that I wrote, but basically I wrote down how much I actually owed on a piece of paper, and then I kind of treated it a little bit like a game. So I'd repay bits and bobs all the time instead of doing fixed monthly amounts, and then I'd cross the number out and I'd write the new number down, and I have an addictive personality, so I can get obsessed with anything, and I got really obsessed with repaying my debt, but it worked, and I've never gone back into it. And yeah, I would recommend to anyone who wants to improve their finances that is the first thing that you focus on, because it makes such a difference. Second biggest takeaway from the book and what I did over the summer, I made a new spreadsheet, and I called it my new life budget, which felt really, really exciting. Felt like letting go of something and welcoming in something new. And I talk about this in my A Simplified Life ebook, which does have a financial section. And what I basically do is I split my budget. I use the 50-30-20 method, which is where you apply 50% of your income to essentials, to your needs. 30% goes on wants. Knowing the difference between the two is very, very important. So things like rent are, an essential. Food is an essential. But things like a mobile phone bill or subscriptions like Spotify, Netflix, they are not essentials. They are most definitely wants. And then 20% is allocated to things like savings, pensions, and investments. And when you use that method, you will very quickly see how out of kilter your current system is and what changes you can make to get it all in order, and to make sure that you are actually saving money every month instead of spending everything on your needs. This vlog is sponsored by Shortform. Shortform provide very high quality, very in-depth summaries for non-fiction books. And their summaries are accompanied with analysis and commentary as well. So you're basically being taught about the book without having to read the entire thing. They cover topics like career, self-development, relationships, money, finance, productivity, all types of non-fiction books. I like to use it to read more books quickly, and to, especially with non-fiction, there's just so much information out there and you don't know which is the best one to go with. With Shortform you can read a lot more and just take the key points away from each one. So I like it because all the titles are on there that that I'm wanting to read anyway, and I'm not wasting any time. The book that I'm talking about in this vlog, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, is featured on there as well, and that is how I inhaled all the incredible information in that book very, 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 very quickly and set it straight to work. Shortform publishes new guides all the time. Every week there are new ones coming out, and subscribers get to vote on what kind of topics they want them to cover. They've also recently introduced AI, so they can provide summaries for anything and everything across the internet, including articles to YouTube videos. If you want to give Shortform a go, I'll leave a link in the description so that you can have a look, and you can sign up for a free trial if you fancy a go, and there is a 20% discount for a full subscription in there as well. Third thing that I did over the summer was to change my mindset around savings and investments. So I've been open before in terms of finances, how when I didn't sell my house, but there was a there was a split in terms of the house that I was living in, and I didn't use my half of the money to buy a new house, which was what would be stereotypically expected of me. Instead, I invested that money, and then I used the growth, the dividends, to cover my rent, and I use it for additional income. The book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, really helped me. It helped to validate my decision around that and confirmed that I am most definitely a renter, not a buyer, and that's okay. And that buying doesn't have to be the only way forwards. It also really helped me get my head around how important saving money is and how to do it properly. So, over the summer, literally, I was in the laundrette doing my laundry, reading about how to invest in the stock market, and it taught me how to do that really well in a way that didn't intimidate me, that didn't overface me, in a way that I thought, yep, okay, now I've got the information, I can definitely do this. It busted all those financial myths, all those financial stereotypes, and helped me get really clear on how much I can actually afford to save, how important it is to save, the lies that I've been telling myself about how I can't afford to save anything, and what that kind of mentality has been doing for my finances, and helped me come up with a very clear, automated by the way, plan on how to save money every month for the life that I want, not the life that I think I should have, which is, you know, what this channel's all about anyway. Number 4, and this is again something that I've done for years, is an emergency fund. And I know this is so hotly spoken about in the financial sector, but especially for self-employed creatives, building up my emergency fund again has just made me feel so much more secure. And that is basically the only way that I'm able to pay myself a regular salary. So I build a buffer basically, and then I average out my earnings, and then I pay myself a salary from that buffer. But personally, I like to make sure that there are 3 to 6 months of essential expenses in there, so that I'm never, you know, I never feel like I'm living, I guess, paycheck to paycheck, but from a self-employed point of view, which can be a lot scarier because you don't always know where your next paycheck is coming from. But again, going back to the savings approach, I decided to recommit to that and build that buffer back up, because again, as a creative, nothing kills creativity more than financial pressure. The last thing that I changed over the summer was to be less avoidant with money. I had to re-engage with mindful spending. And there's the really famous quote about how what gets tracked gets managed. And it works. So I started to track my spending again. I started to look at how much I was actually spending, what I was spending it on, and really think about what I wanted to be spending my money on. And again, in terms of the kind of life that I want for myself, not the kind of life that I think I should want for myself. So, for example, for me, and this might be a bit controversial, but I'm not bothered about like really expensive fancy food. It's just not something that really bothers me. I am more than happy to go to a super cheap supermarket and keep my food bill really, really low, and I'm happy to not eat out all the time, because I don't really get that much pleasure from that. I get much more pleasure from, I'm here, I'm in Paris, I get much more pleasure from artistic experiences. I'd rather spend my money on those sorts of things. So yeah, I spent time really thinking about what it was that I wanted to be spending my money on versus what I was spending it on, and making those changes, making those allowances. And then now I have an actual budget with the envelope system. So like I have a budget for everything from, you know, travel, how much that costs me every month, to how much I want to spend on like beauty, with like all sorts. If I want to get my nails done or waxes or whatever I want doing. There's, you know, everything is allocated, and for me, that just makes me feel so much more secure, makes me feel a lot safer, and it's living from the inside out, because it reflects my personal values, and I just feel so much more in control, instead of spending and then kind of getting to the end of every month thinking, oh, like where did my money go? What did I even spend it on? That isn't the case anymore. And now I know exactly how much I have to spend each month on what. I can be mindful, because I can check in every week and be like, okay, have I exceeded that amount? Have I not? And yeah, it's predicted, it's there, it's all written down. And the book, I really, really cannot recommend it highly enough. I was worried it was going to be very, you know, that stereotypical life coachy kind of approach, which really isn't my vibe. I don't think it's yours either, but it's not. It's it's amazing. It's such a good book. The other book that I really want to read on money is called The Psychology of Money. That is available on short form as well, so that will definitely be the next one that I dive into. But I Will Teach You to Be Rich if you are wanting to upscale, up level your finances, overhaul them, or just educate yourself a little bit more about money, maybe feel a little bit more like an adult like I did. Yeah, I cannot recommend it enough. But I didn't just want to include it in a book recommendation. I wanted to actually go through and talk about the changes that I have made. And I will leave a link to that debt piece that I wrote about on Substack. Big thank you to Shortform for sponsoring this week's vlog. I hope you've got something out of it. I hope you, if it's a topic that you're interested in, you go on to read the book, use the free trial, the discount code. Let me know how you get on. Let me know how you manage finances. Let me know if you like any tips in terms of being a self-employed creative, especially. Let me know in the comments.